Welcome to day 4 of Breathe Easy. I hope you've had a really good day, and I'm so glad that we can all join together this week to watch YouTube and just come together at this time and later on Zoom as well. I hope you've had a great day. I hope you've also really enjoyed today's spiritual challenge, reading the Bible, getting stuck into reading a few verses in Mark chapter 1. And I can't wait to hear later in our groups how that went and what God may have said to you through reading His Word and in the Bible. I hope today you've also had a good day trying out our fun challenge. Thank you so much to those of you who sent in videos. It's so great to see how you're getting on and just see them coming into our WhatsApp group. I hope also you guys are getting stuck into our week-long challenge of finding letters in nature, in different pictures that we can put together to spell out our names. So don't forget about that week-long competition that we've got going. And the prize will be announced on Saturday for those entries that are sent in. So I hope that's going well. We are now going to spend some time in sung worship together. So I'm going to hand over. And I just really encourage you to just maybe sit for a second, open up your hands and just ask the Holy Spirit to fill you during this time.
And I was buried beneath my shame, and who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you, and I was breathing but not alive. My failures I tried to hide. It was my tomb until I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. And now your mercy has saved my soul. Now your freedom is all that I know. The old man knew Jesus when I met you. Oh, when you called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. I need your rescue. My sin was heavy, but chains break out the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan. Now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a few glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. Love you, Lord, though your mercy never fails me. In all my days I've been held in your hands, from the moment that I wake up until I lay my hands. For I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful. 'Cause all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, and I will sing of the goodness of God. And I love your voice. You have led me through the fire, in the darkness nights. You are close like no other. Yes, I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful. 'Cause all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, yes, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I've surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I've surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running, it keeps running after me. Cause all my life you have been faithful. 'Cause all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, yes, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful. 'Cause all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, yes, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God. Oh, and I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God. Oh, and I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God.
Thank you so much for leading us in that beautiful time of worship. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope, God really spoke to you during that time. I'm going to hand over to Dave now, and he's going to bring us our next spiritual challenge for tomorrow. Thanks, Dave.
Hello again, everyone. Hope you are doing well. And yesterday we had our Bible challenge, didn't we? We looked at that passage about Jesus calling some of his first disciples, and we spent a bit of time looking at that. I hope you got on with that challenge. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you spent a good bit of time with God in the Bible, and that he spoke to you through it. Maybe that was a difficult challenge for you. Maybe it was an easy one. But whatever it was, there'll be a chance to talk about that in a little bit. But I want to set you the next challenge, tell you what it is that over the next 24 hours, I'm encouraging you to do as a spiritual challenge. And this one is all about our stories. What is your story? What's the story of your life? We all have one. You have a story, but do you actually know it? Could you actually tell it? There's a difference between vaguely knowing a story and understanding it, and actually being able to tell it, being able to share that story, being really familiar with it, and being able to tell it in order and say what's happened. So do you know your own story? Here's part of my story. When I was growing up, when I was a teenager, when I was sort of your age, I was actually a very insecure person. I didn't look like it from the outside. I looked confident, I looked loud, I looked all of those things, but I was a very insecure person. You see, I thought that I wasn't good enough. I thought that people were going to find out that I wasn't good enough, and so I tried to pretend. I tried to pretend I was smarter than I am. I tried to pretend I was cooler than I am, or funnier than I am. I tried to pretend all kinds of things. I tried to put on these different masks and pretend I was something other than I was, because I didn't feel good enough. Didn't feel as though people would really want me as I am, and so I pretended to be something else. See, all of this time, I knew Jesus. I was a Christian. I went to church, but there were certain things about the way that Jesus viewed me that hadn't really sunk in, that I hadn't really taken on board. But then, when I was around 19 or so, I had this realization that if Jesus accepted me, if God accepted me enough, if he loved me enough to even die for me, then that means I don't need to run around trying to pretend I'm something other than I am. Because if God has accepted me, if Jesus has already accepted me, that means I'm acceptable. That means I'm okay. I don't need to be better than I am. I don't need to pretend to be bigger than I am, or stronger than I am, or smarter than I am. How I am is okay. And you know, that's had a big impact on me. I'm now a pretty secure person. I live pretty much free of worrying too much about what other people think about me. I slip into those old ways. I worry about that too much sometimes. I haven't suddenly become perfect. But because of what Jesus has done, I find it far easier to worry less about what other people think and more about just getting on and being and doing. And you know what? It's so freeing. It's so much easier, so much more peaceful. Not always worrying and trying to impress other people and put on these masks, just being able to take them off and say, you know what, this is me. This is who I am. There are good bits, there are bad bits. There are ways in which I could be far better than I am, and I'm not. But you know what? Jesus has already accepted me. So I'm going to accept myself now and not pretend to be something else. That's part of my story. That's part of who I am. There's other parts, there's other things that I haven't shared in that little bit, but that is part of my honest story. What's yours? What's your story? What's the story of your life? See, our stories are powerful. They have power, they have energy, they can achieve things. In the last book of the Bible, in the book of Revelation, we hear about the enemy, God's enemy, and the enemy of all the people that follow him. And we read these words about him being overcome, about the people of God triumphing and winning. And in Revelation chapter 12, it says, they triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb, that's the blood of Jesus, and by the word of their testimony. Now, testimony is just a big word for our story. A testimony is what you give in court. You testify against someone or for someone in court, and it's basically just someone who's seen something or heard something, telling what they've seen and heard. And so the testimony or the stories of these Christians is powerful. And actually it says that a combination of Jesus' blood, Jesus' death, Jesus dying, and other people telling their story about that and about the difference it's made for them has the power to overcome our enemy. Jesus died for us, and we get to tell the story of what that means for us. And when we put those two things together, there is power that can overcome anything. You see, when Jesus makes a difference in our lives, that's a story that's worth telling. I don't know you all. I don't know where you're all at. I don't know what point in your story you're in. I don't know where Jesus fits into that story. But here's the challenge for today. Very simply this: learn your own story and practice telling it. Learn your own story and practice telling it. It doesn't have to be the story of the whole of your life. You might just want to focus in on one little part of your life, just like I did. It might be something that's happened in the last week, or it might be a much bigger story about what's happened over the years. It might be the story of how you met Jesus and how it is that you began your relationship with him. It might be that you're not there yet. It might be that you don't think you've made that step. Tell your story. Learn your story. Think about where Jesus does fit into your story, even if you're not quite sure yet, and then learn how to tell that story. So first, three sort of steps to this. The first one, think back through your story. What are the chapters? What are the different things that have happened in your life? Where have you been? What have you done? Think about your story and where its different parts are, where the chapters begin and end. Second part, ask, how does Jesus fit in with that story? Where are the moments that maybe there was a step with Jesus? Maybe actually the way that Jesus fits into your story is that there are questions you have about him and you're not quite sure. But think about where Jesus fits into that story. Then finally, practice telling your story. You could write it down if you prefer to write things, or you could just grab your phone and once you've had a think about what it is, start talking and record it. I'm not saying that you have to send it to anyone, but just have a practice. I think it's so good when we can be familiar enough with our own stories that we can share them with other people. So when we're having conversations with people, we can share our stories, just like I did. That's not the first time I've told that story. I've practiced, because I want to be able to share the difference Jesus has made in my life, because I believe he can make that difference in other people's lives as well. So that's the challenge for today. Learn your own story and practice telling it. Then when we come back tomorrow evening, we can talk about those stories. We can maybe share them with one another, or just share how we got on as we thought through our own story. So find a little bit of time, doesn't have to take long, 15-20 minutes. Think back through your own story, work out what the chapters are, think about where Jesus fits in, and then practice. Have a go and look back and go, is there anything I would change about that? Is there anything I would tell differently or do differently? So there you go, there's the challenge. Get on with your own story, because it is powerful. And I promise you, your story is amazing, because it's the story of a life, and lives are amazing. So let's get on with it, and I'll see you again tomorrow.
Well, thank you, Dave, for that spiritual challenge for tomorrow. I look forward to writing out my own story and tweaking it and figuring out what I can say if people ask me. Thank you for that challenge. Before we head over to Zoom this evening, we have got some video clips from today, so stay tuned, enjoy the clips, and we will see you on Zoom.
This is 20. You can't see it. Oh no. Okay, right.
Okay, 22 coins. Here we go. Oh dear. Oh, that. Oh, ah!
22 coins.
Okay, so we're on 19. Oh, Greetings, you breathelings. You have been doing the coin snatch, but your master will now do 30 coins. Watch, listen, and learn. Did you get it?
Yeah.
Yes, breathelings, look, learn from the master.
That's the way she catches it. Oh, I got it! Oh, I got it. Okay, I got 30.
Yes!
Yes. Okay, 25, 2p's here.
Stop!